So, if you're just joining us, you're tuning in to the Viva's live streams. Viva's is a global community and media brand for vegan women, and we're delighted to be able to showcase the voices and talents of vegan women during the live streams that we've got here at Global Vegfest. I'm Katrina Fox, the founder, and I'm delighted to introduce our next session, which is also a panel discussion, and it's called Vegan Women Authors, Amplifying Your Message and Movement Through Books. We've got the wonderful Mitali Deypurkaystha, who is a vegan book coach and publisher. She's going to be hosting a panel with 3 other vegan women authors who've written in very different genres, and they're going to be talking about the writing process, finding your confidence as a woman and as a vegan, and of course how you can use books to amplify your message. So really looking forward to this. Please welcome Mitali and guests.
Thank you, Katrina. I'm so sorry we're late as well. You know, wonders of technology, eh? So hello and thank you for joining us for this exclusive vegan authors panel as part of Viva's and VegfestUK UK Online. As Katrina said, my name is Mitali Deypurkaystha. I'm the founder of Let's Tell You Story Publishing, and an all-round friend and ally of vegan business leaders and entrepreneurs. I'm passionate about amplifying the voices of as many vegan and ethical business owners as possible. My goal is I want to raise our collective voices so they become so loud that the exploitation of animals and the environment will have to stop once and for all. And I found one of the best ways for a business owner to raise their visibility and profile is to write a book, to become an author. However, this is going to be a really boring panel if it's just me banging on for the next 20 minutes about why you need to be a published author. So I'm joined by 3 awesome female authors who can give you a first-hand account of how writing a book can be transformative for your business and your life. So I think Katrina's gone around very, very quickly, but I'm going to do you ladies more justice. I hope you don't mind. So I'm going to go around the room quickly. First, you've got Heather Landex, who is a vegan food safety and inclusivity expert. She's the author of the bestseller, Inclusive, the New Exclusive. One of these days, I'm going to be able to say it right without, wrapping my tongue around it. And it shows the restaurants how they can risk less by better serving customers with dietary preferences and how they're practically leaving money on the table right now by not doing so. Next, we have Maya Cohen-Ronen, who is an animal rights activist, a feminist, and the author of the Liberation Trilogy, a series of thrilling dystopian suspense novels with a vegan and animal rights message. And last but certainly not least, we've got Jackie Norman, a vegan activist and founder of Vegan FTA. We should pay you, Heather. We're committed to fighting for a vegan world. She's the author of Everyday Vegan, which shows people how to cook nutritious, tasty vegan meals, even if they're incredibly busy. So we actually have a non-fiction business author, a fiction author, and a cookbook author. I mean, what an amazing mix. You can't really get more diverse than this. So thank you so much. And me, of course,
yes.
I'm trying to give you guys the limelight. I'll have my glory right at the end, don't worry. But thank you for joining me, ladies. So the first question I want to ask you, because I think a lot of people will be interested, is why did you write the book in first place? Because we all know writing a book is fun, but it's also an endeavor. It's no walk in the park, is it? So the first question I want to ask you is, why did you write a book? So let's start with Jackie. What motivated you to write your book?
Oh, crikey. There was 2 reasons, really. I think the first one was because upon going vegan, I should say I co-wrote it with my husband, Gareth. He was a photographer. And when we went vegan, we found that vegan food was about as far removed from being restricted as it can possibly be, as the wonderful ladies will show you with the big burger on the front. It's colorful, it's healthy, it's delicious. And we really wanted to share that joy of vegan cooking in food. And the second reason, like Maya, we are animal rights activists, and we wrote the book as a form of activism. So I'm sure I can speak for many vegans when I say you can write a social media about the plight of animals and the silence is deafening on the other end. But when you share a picture of vegan food, everyone is like, drooling over it, wanting the recipe. And, it would be great if the plight of animals was the reason that more people became interested in veganism. But the reality of my personal experience, at least, was that, our food and recipes have resulted in a lot more people engaging with the idea of a vegan lifestyle than anything negative or confrontational that we've shared. And so it's the kind of voice that we found people are more open to listening to. There's no guilt or shame. There's no finger pointing. So there's only the joy and the positive benefits, which we tried to convey in our book.
That's interesting. I think that's human nature, really, isn't it? You can try and shame or embarrass people into making a change, but it's only going to happen for a short amount of time. Then they go back to their old ways. But if you inspire people to make that change, it's usually lasting. That's really interesting. Maya, I'd love to go to you next. I've started reading your first book. As soon as I heard that you wrote dystopia, I was like, that is my bag down to a T. So I was going to read it anyway. But I'd love to know why you wrote fiction, why you wrote your books.
I'm a reader, and I couldn't find a single book to read that is. My favorite is dystopia, thriller, detective whodunit kind of genre, and I was grasping, taking books to read, and every time I started a book, immediately the speciesism kind of jumped at me, and all the animal cruelty that is so embedded in every page of the book. You get a protagonist that is hunting, you have them eating bacon, you have so many forms of animal cruelty and everyday speciesism, and it just became too hard to bear. I just stopped enjoying reading, and I loved reading, and I've always written, so I decided, it's not there, create it. Just use the skills that you've got to create something new. And when I wrote the first book, The Shed, the first book in the trilogy, it was not just in order to get something that had no animal cruelty or no speciesism. I actually used it, like Jackie said, as a form of outreach, as a way to tell something, a message about veganism and animal rights. So both elements covered.
That's fantastic. You've spoken like a true inventor. You couldn't find it in the real world, so you invented it. I love that. Heather, we've known each other for a while now, so I know your journey, but I just want you to tell people what made you write your book, Inclusive, the new exclusive.
Well, I guess mine's activism as well, but it's more about not discriminating against people for their diets. And actually, it is exclusive to be inclusive because, like Jackie was explaining, Jackie actually features in my book. She's a contributor. The journey began because in 2019, I had my own severe allergy attack. And whilst at the hospital, they told me I was probably very allergic to milk, which isn't an easy thing to be told, especially if, like me, you're in the food service industry, inspecting places for food safety. It didn't really occur to me that vegan food actually has a lot of disclaimers on it. So I told the doctor, I can't be allergic to milk, I'm vegan. And she said it's very, very common that people have a reaction to vegan food because they assume it's free from milk, egg, fish, shellfish, which are very common allergies. So the overlying principle is you have to respect people's preferences, not only to protect them from injury if they've got an allergy or intolerance or another health condition, but to protect their well-being. And actually, vegans do become very lactose intolerant. If they've been vegan for long enough, anyone avoiding milk for long enough becomes naturally lactose intolerant. So I'm basically trying to do the educational angle on activism that people don't realise how cruel and mean and ignorant they are. They're actually discriminating against people when they have these disclaimers that say, don't eat this if you're vegan, an allergy sufferer, if you have a health condition. There's all these things about peanuts when actually milk is the most deadly, most common allergy, especially in the UK.
It kind of horrifies me that, I've been vegan for nearly 10 years and I've probably been still eating and drinking milk because it's been in things that have been labeled vegan, which is just not right, really. It's just not on.
There's a lack of awareness what vegan means as well, which is also another way to explain to people what veganism is and all the different reasons why you might be vegan without being a typical activist.
Love it. Okay, so the next question I want to ask, I'm sure people will be interested in this, is what has the book done for you? Because like I said, I think I said in the beginning, writing a book is it's a fantastic journey. Definitely was for me. But at the same time, there were parts of my journey where I just wanted to stick pins in my eyes. It was just a nightmare as well. I'm sure you guys all felt this too. So it's an endeavor. So I'm sure people want to know, well, what did the book do for you? Was it worth it? So let's start with Maya this time. What did the book do for you? What was the effect of the book once it was published?
Well, when I was writing the first book, it was the first book I've ever written for the purpose of publishing it, getting it out there. And I was, throughout writing it, I was very unsure if it's going to be well accepted, because I wasn't sure in my skills. I had days when I thought, oh yeah, this is brilliant. And then there are other days when you think, oh, this is rubbish. And you move between this kind of pendulum that you move in between, and you doubt yourself. And then when the book is out there, it's like birthing this book, and you start getting the really good feedback, the people really loving it, not just the vegans, but the pre-vegans who are exposed to it and they read it. And then I got comments like, this book is changing my life. I'm making the change. I finally get it. And so that is really, and it's so rewarding, because you feel I use my voice, my unique skills to do something in the world, to do something that will impact the life of other people, but also the life of animals. And it's amazing. Yeah, and I'm still in this journey, because I'm currently writing a script, a screenplay for the first book. So I'm still in this journey of exploring everything that I can get out of this trilogy.
I think the wonderful thing about a book, Maya, is it's you are leaving a legacy, with other kinds of content, especially online content. It's so fleeting. It's there, then it's gone. But with a book, it's there, and it's probably going to outlast you, really, isn't it? So
I hope so.
Fingers crossed. I'm sure it will. I'm halfway through your first book, and I'm loving it. So I'm pretty sure they will outlast you. Let's move on to Heather. I mean, please tell me, give me stories. I've already heard some of your stories, but the effect that it's had on you since publishing your book.
It's not even since publishing. It's since the day I decided to write a book, and probably since the day I had a book cover. Because I didn't even write my book before I started interviewing people who are expert in the industry. And there's 50 different opinions in here that all say the same thing, that it's smart if you take care of people with allergies or dietary preferences. So that gave I sort of started on a hunch. Like, why are people not serving people with allergies, especially if they could have a vegan option that's actually a vegan option that can serve a lot of people with allergies? Why? This is really common sense. And I think writing it in a book and getting someone to help me edit it, because it was too many words, has helped me sort of narrow down what it is I do and clarify to people that this is a good idea, instead of me just whittering on in one person's ear. I'm now whittering on in hundreds and hundreds of people's ears, if not thousands, especially because it's given me access to platforms like this, where I can speak to more people at once. And a lot of people are shocked to hear how the food industry is and the status quo. And that's quite exciting. I think I just find it really exciting all the time, just permanently in a state of excitement. And I think even writing the book, people don't necessarily read the book, but I have a Kindle version. And when I released the Kindle version, it sold all over the world, and people were reading it the same day, like the whole book. And that got me to international bestseller status, which was a bit of a shock for my ego, because I thought I was just this quiet little voice. And a lot of the process of going through it, I've had to evolve personally to accept that if I want to shout about allergies and veganism, I have to be visible. And that is a massive frightening thing in the beginning. So you do have to have a lot of support around you. And I've noticed a thing called vegan magnetism, that people like Mitali and Jackie support you because you're willing to stand out and shout about it, despite maybe feeling it's risky if you're famous. I know I'm not famous, but in my little niche, no one else does this. And I think it's just being heard.
Unique. You are
It's
unique.
Being heard. That's all it's about.
I think that's.
I'm going to do an audio bit like you, Mitali. I think it's another way to talk to people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's what I mean. You know my background. I've been a copywriter and a ghostwriter for over 10 years, and I've written all kinds of things. But I keep coming back to the book, because that really is the piece of content that I think I just said to you, Maya, it outlasts you. All the other content is so fleeting, and it's just here, there, and it's gone. But when you write a book, and the effort it takes to write a book, the visibility you get and the authority you get, it's unsurpassed with any other kind of content. So definitely great for amplifying voices. Jackie, let's finish with you. I'd love to hear some stories about you. You've kind of touched on it already, that you'd be able to inspire people into veganism instead of just making them feel bad about it.
Yeah, definitely. And I think writing a cookbook. I'm the author of, this is my third book, so I've written two, regular books, for want of a better description, before, and this was the first cookbook. And I think the biggest thing it taught me is to back myself. If anything, it's when you're writing for yourself, you're writing what you want, the way you want it. And when you do a cookbook, one thing I learned more than anything is you need to write recipes so that they're absolutely idiot proof and that people can't get them wrong, because you want them to work and you want them to taste as good for everybody else as they do for you. And it's really nerve-wracking. We doubted ourselves and our skills so many times. When you're developing recipes, you might think that they're great, but will anybody else, even our friends and our family who tested them 3 times over, we still kept wondering, do you really like them? Or, are you just saying that so you don't hurt our feelings, So once the book hit the shelves and we started getting this amazing feedback from total strangers, that was a really wonderful feeling. And we learned that we should really trust ourselves and our intuition and definitely our palate as well. And I think the other thing that I really got from it was it really made us step up, as a leader, particularly me as a female, leader in the movement. We sort of had the pleasure of interviewing Dr. Klepper last year, and he told us that the best way to consistently make a difference is to lead by example. So we followed his advice, and I really find this to be true, especially when it comes to food choices. Like we're saying, food activism may not get people to make the switch straight away, but in our experience, it does seem to help to get people on board, like you say, when they don't feel challenged or pressured. So, it showed me that can't just help to create change, it's proven it, really. So I think
that sounds so gratifying. If you've had messages from people saying they're looking to become more vegan just on the strength of your book, that must be so gratifying.
Definitely. No, it's been the best thing. And so many, pre-vegans as well. I just thought that it was going to be this big influx of just people that are already vegan, but I would say it'd be at least 50-50.
That's fantastic.
Well,
thank you, ladies. This is a very short panel, so we couldn't really say very long, but this has been really interesting. To have 3 awesome female authors who've written very different books. I think I said before, you can't really get more diverse. And yet at the same time, you're all pushing the same message of a kinder, a more compassionate vegan world. And I think there's going to be a lot of people out there who are looking to write, who are going to feel more motivated now after listening to you. So thank you for joining me. Before we go, I just want to quickly go around the room because I want people to know how they can connect with you. So if we want to start with Heather first, how can people connect with you?
So if you wanted a copy of my book, I always give it to vegans at cost. Just there's a little activism going on there.
Yeah.
So you can actually go to book.heatherlandex.com, and I'm only the only Heather Landex on the internet. You can always stalk me on LinkedIn or something. And then use the coupon code vegan special, and that's a very good way to get all the inclusions of postage and taxes and whatever around the world. I'm still trying to get my book over to New Zealand with Jackie.
I'm still waiting. Wow. I've got Maya's.
It really is on the other side of the planet, though, isn't it? Maya, do you want to let everyone know how people can connect with you?
Well, the trilogy is on Amazon and also Book Depository. But if you want to follow me, I'm on Facebook, MC.Ronen, and also on Instagram, MC.Ronen _activist_author.
Awesome. And last but definitely not least, Jackie.
I'm embarrassed to say I've sold out of my own book at the moment, and we haven't been able to get any more because pandemics and things. But I think you can still get them online. Booktopia and Book Depository and Amazon. You can get them online. You just can't get it in stores anymore. So have a look online. You should be able to find it. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook. I would say the best way to connect with me is probably through Vegan FTA. That's Vegan for the Animals. So if you check that out on Facebook, you can connect with me on there. No problem.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you so much. I've been Mitali Deypurkaystha from Let's Tell You Story Publishing. This is your time now, Heather, to wave my book finally. As well as helping vegan and ethical business owners become published authors, I'm also author of my own best-selling book, The Freedom Master, which is all about how becoming an author can transform your business and amplify your voice. Because I think I said earlier, I'm passionate about turning as many vegan business owners into published authors so we can finally live in a truly vegan world. So if you're interested in connecting with me, if you're interested in becoming published, go to my website, letstellystory.com, or you can find me on any social media platform. I'm Mitali Book Pro. So thank you to my awesome guests. Thank you to the lovely Katrina Fox of Vivas for giving us this space. And of course to VegfestUK for creating and hosting a phenomenal platform for us vegans to get together and collaborate. So thank you for your time, and I'm sure I'll see you all very soon.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.